Hey coin lovers! Welcome to the Worth Old Coins channel, your place to discover the hidden value and rare facts about old coins. In today's video we're revealing the top 5 valuable coins, and one of them might just be in your collection. So don't skip this video, let's find out their real worth. Top 1. The 1 penny Elizabeth II coin of 1980 is a significant piece in the history of British decimal coinage, and its details reflect both the political background of the United Kingdom during that period as well as the evolution of coin designs under Queen Elizabeth II. The coin belongs to the decimal system, which was introduced in the United Kingdom in 1971 when the country moved away from the centuries-old pounds, shillings, and pence system to the modern decimal currency. Before 1971, £1 consisted of 240 pence, but under decimalisation it was restructured so that £1 equals 100 new pence. The 1 penny coin was part of this new system, and by 1980 it had already been in circulation for nearly a decade. The coin's obverse, front side, features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which is a consistent hallmark of all British coinage during her reign. The specific portrait used in 1980 was designed by Arnold Machin, one of the most celebrated sculptors of his time. This effigy, introduced in 1968 and used until 1984, depicts a youthful and regal Queen Elizabeth II wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Around the portrait, the inscription reads, Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1980, which stands for Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, translating to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This Latin inscription reflects both the monarchy's historical connection to the Church of England and its constitutional role in governance. On the reverse, backside, of the coin, the design introduced with decimalisation was created by Christopher Ironside, another renowned designer of British coinage. The design shows a portcullis with chains, a stylized version of the Tudor portcullis, which is also a well-known symbol associated with the Palace of Westminster, the seat of the UK Parliament. This design symbolises both strength and heritage, tying the coinage to Britain's long history of governance and lawmaking. Above the portcullis is a small crown, and to the sides is the denomination written simply as 1 penny. The numeral 1 is prominently placed beneath the portcullis, making the coin's value clear and easy to identify. This design remained in use for many years, until it was eventually replaced by Matthew Dent's heraldic shield design in 2008. The 1980 penny itself was struck in bronze, which had been the traditional alloy for low-denomination British coins. The composition was 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, giving the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color. It weighed 3.56 grams, measured 20.3 millimeters in diameter, and had a thickness of 1.52 millimeters. The coin had a plain edge without any inscription or reading, a standard feature for low-value coins to reduce minting costs. Millions of these coins were produced by the Royal Mint in 1980, and they circulated widely in everyday transactions, being used for small purchases such as newspapers, sweets, or public telephone calls. Historically, the 1981 penny coin is not considered rare, as it was part of a large mintage for general circulation. However, its significance lies in its place within the broader context of British decimal coinage and its representation of Queen Elizabeth II at an early stage of her reign. Collectors value such coins primarily for their condition. Examples in uncirculated or proof condition can command a modest premium above face value, whereas circulated coins typically retain only their face value due to their commonness. It is also worth noting that proof versions of the 1980 penny were struck for special collector sets by the Royal Mint, and these proof specimens, with their mirror-like fields and sharper details, are more sought after in the numismatic market. Beyond its numismatic appeal, the coin also reflects the continuity and tradition of the British monarchy. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait has appeared on more coins than any other monarch in history, and the 1980 penny is a part of that legacy. The coin also holds nostalgic value for many people in Britain, as it circulated during a time of economic and social changes in the late 20th century. For historians, collectors, and enthusiasts, the 1 penny Elizabeth II 1980 coin is a tangible link to the everyday life of Britain in that era, an era before digital money, when physical coins and notes dominated transactions. Today, although still legal tender, many of these pennies have been withdrawn from circulation as the UK gradually shifts toward electronic payments and as older coins are replaced or lost. Nonetheless, the coin remains a small but enduring symbol of British identity, heritage, and the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Top 2. The 1 penny coin of Elizabeth II from 1981 is a fascinating piece of British decimal coinage that holds both historical and numismatic importance. To understand this coin fully, it is important to look at its background, design, physical details, circulation, and collector value. The coin belongs to the decimal system of British currency, which had been introduced in 1971 to replace the old pounds, shillings, and pence system that had existed for centuries. Under the decimalization system, 1 pound equaled 100 new pence, and the 1 penny coin represented the lowest denomination still widely used in circulation. The 1981 penny continued the designs and specifications first established in the early 1970s, and by this time, the coin had already become a familiar part of everyday transactions across the United Kingdom. The obverse, front, of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by the artist and sculptor Arnold Machin. This effigy of the Queen was introduced in 1968 and remained in use until 1984, which means the 1981 penny belongs to that portrait series. In the portrait, the Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, which is one of her most recognizable pieces of jewelry. Around the portrait is the inscription Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. FAD 1981, which is a Latin abbreviation for Elizabeth II Grazia Regina Fidei Defensor, translating to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This inscription emphasizes both her religious and constitutional roles as monarch of the United Kingdom. The reverse, back, of the coin, like other decimal pennies of the era, was designed by Christopher Ironside, a highly respected designer of British coins. The design depicts a portcullis with chains, which is a historic heraldic emblem closely associated with the Palace of Westminster, the seat of the UK Parliament. Above the portcullis is a royal crown, and flanking it are the words, 1 penny. The numeral 1 appears clearly beneath the design, making the denomination easy to recognize. This design symbolized both tradition and strength, connecting the coin to Britain's deep-rooted system of governance and monarchy. The design remained standard until 2008, when it was replaced by Matthew Dent's shield of the Royal Arms design. In terms of its physical characteristics, the 1981 1 penny coin was struck in bronze, an alloy composed of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. The coin weighed 3.56 grams, had a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and was 1.52 millimeters thick. It had a plain edge with no reading or inscription, which was typical for lower-value coins to keep production costs down. The reddish-brown color of the bronze made it distinct, though over time, coins in circulation often darkened due to handling and oxidation. Millions of these coins were minted in 1981 at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, Wales, and they entered circulation widely across the UK. From a historical perspective, the 1981 penny is interesting because it circulated during a period of economic and social change in Britain. The early 1980s were marked by political shifts under Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, high unemployment rates, and industrial unrest. Everyday coins like the penny formed a small but essential part of the public's daily life, used for items like bus fares, sweets, newspapers, and small vending machine purchases. The coin also has a nostalgic value today, as it reminds older generations of a pre-digital era when cash transactions dominated. In terms of collectability, the 1981 1 penny coin is not rare in circulated condition. Because so many were minted for everyday use, most examples still carry only their face value. However, the condition of the coin greatly affects its desirability for collectors. A circulated coin, with scratches, tarnish, or wear, usually has no added value beyond 1 penny. On the other hand, uncirculated coins or proof versions produced by the Royal Mint for collector sets can command higher value. Proof coins are specially struck with polished dies to create mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, and these 1981 proof sets are far more attractive to collectors. Their values can range from a few pounds to higher amounts depending on rarity, demand, and condition. Symbolically, the 1981 penny also represents continuity in the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Her image on coins has changed over the decades through 5 different official portraits, but the 1981 version still shows her in the youthful style of Arnold Machin's design. This makes it significant within the sequence of portraits used in British coinage history. Today, while the penny remains legal tender in the UK, its everyday use has declined due to inflation and the rise of electronic payments. Many of the older bronze pennies, including those from 1981, have been withdrawn from circulation or lost over time, though millions still exist in collections, coin jars, and old wallets. For numismatists, the coin remains a small but meaningful link to the heritage of Britain's monetary system. In conclusion, The 1981 Elizabeth II one-penny coin may not be a rare or highly valuable item in monetary terms, but it is rich in historical, cultural, and symbolic meaning. It reflects the design artistry of Arnold Machin and Christopher Ironside, the traditions of the British monarchy and Parliament, and the everyday life of people in Britain during the early 1980s. Top 3. The one-penny Elizabeth II coin of 1971 is one of the most historically important coins in modern British numismatics because it was issued in the very first year of the United Kingdom's transition to the decimal currency system. Prior to 1971, Britain had used the traditional pounds, shillings, and pence system for centuries, where 1 pound was made up of 240 pence. However, this complicated monetary system was replaced on February 15, 1971, an event remembered as Decimal Day. From that day forward, 1 pound was equal to 100 new pence, and new coins including the 1 penny were introduced for public use. The 1971 1 penny was therefore the first official year of issue for this new decimal denomination, making it historically significant. Unlike earlier pre-decimal pennies, which were much larger and heavier, the new 1 penny coin was much smaller, lighter, and modern in design, reflecting the new streamlined currency system. The obverse, front, of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, one of the most respected coin designers of the 20th century. This effigy, first introduced in 1968, shows a young queen wearing the famous Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. A gift she had received as a wedding present in 1947. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin inscription Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. FAD 1971, which expands to Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This inscription not only reaffirms the Queen's role as monarch, but also her constitutional and religious status as head of state and head of the Church of England. The youthful image of the Queen on this coin contrasts sharply with later portraits, giving the 1971 penny an added layer of historic and visual charm for collectors. The reverse, back, of the coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, another legendary British coin designer who created the reverse designs for most of the decimal coins introduced in 1971. The design features a portcullis with chains, an emblem with deep historical associations. The portcullis is a stylized version of the Tudor portcullis and is also the heraldic badge of the Palace of Westminster, the home of the UK Parliament. It symbolizes strength, protection, and tradition, linking the coinage to the authority of British governance. Above the portcullis sits a royal crown, reinforcing the coin's connection to monarchy. To the left and right of the design is the wording 1 penny, and beneath the portcullis is the numeral 1, representing the denomination. This reverse design became one of the most recognizable and longest-lasting designs in modern British coinage, continuing in use until 2008 when it was replaced by Matthew Dent's shield design. In terms of technical details, the 1971 1 penny was struck in bronze, which at that time consisted of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. The coin had a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.52 millimeters, and a weight of 3.56 grams. Its edge was plain, which is standard for lower denomination coins to keep minting costs low. The bright reddish-brown color of freshly minted bronze pennies gradually darkens with circulation, and older examples often appear brown or almost black depending on how they were stored or used. The Royal Mint produced an enormous number of these coins in 1971, as there was a need to flood the economy with the new decimal coins to ensure a smooth transition from the old system. As a result, the 1971 penny is one of the most common decimal coins in existence, and nearly every household in Britain at the time would have handled these new pennies during everyday purchases, such as buying newspapers, sweets, or bus fares. From a collector's perspective, the 1971 1 penny is not considered rare in circulated condition because of its huge mintage. Circulated examples are generally only worth their face value. However, uncirculated specimens, particularly those included in 1971 proof sets or decimalization presentation sets, are of much greater interest to collectors. These proof coins were specially struck using polished dies and blanks, resulting in sharp details and mirror-like finishes. Today, such proof pennies can fetch several pounds or more depending on condition and demand. Many people in Britain still possess 1971 pennies in drawers, coin jars, or as keepsakes from Decimal Day, making them a nostalgic piece of history even if they are not especially valuable. Historically, the 1971 penny also serves as a cultural marker of change. The introduction of decimalization was a huge shift for the British public, many of whom were accustomed to the old pre-decimal system and initially found the new coins confusing. Educational campaigns were held across the UK to prepare people for the new money, and schoolchildren, shopkeepers, and the elderly all had to adjust to thinking in base, 100 currency instead of the old base, 240 system. The 1 penny coin, being the smallest widely used denomination, played a crucial role in this transition. Its design, size, and feel became symbolic of modern Britain entering a new monetary age. Even though today the penny has far less purchasing power due to inflation, the 1971 coin still carries immense historical significance as a symbol of one of the most important financial reforms in British history. In conclusion, the 1971 Elizabeth II 1 penny coin is not just a small bronze disc but a representation of a turning point in British economic and cultural history. Its obverse connects it to the long reign of Queen Elizabeth II, while its reverse ties it to the traditions of Parliament and governance. It may be common in circulation and low in monetary value, but in historical terms it is priceless, as it embodies the very beginning of Britain's decimal currency system. Collectors and historians alike treasure it as a milestone coin, a reminder of how Britain adapted to a new age of money and modernity. Top 4. The 1 penny Elizabeth II coin of 1979 is an important and interesting piece in the timeline of British decimal coinage, carrying both historical and cultural value as part of everyday life in Britain during the late 1970s. The coin belongs to the decimal series that began in 1971, when the United Kingdom switched from the centuries-old pounds, shillings, and pence system to the simpler decimal system in which £1 equals 100 new pence. By 1979, the new system had been in place for 8 years, and the penny had become one of the most widely recognized coins in circulation. The 1979 penny is particularly significant because it represents the continuity of design and stability of the early decimal years, while also being tied to the reign of Queen Elizabeth II at a period when Britain was going through major political and economic changes. It circulated at a time of inflation, industrial unrest, and the early years of Margaret Thatcher's government, giving it a strong connection to British social history. The obverse, front side, the coin bears the second official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by the artist and sculptor Arnold Machin. This effigy was first introduced in 1968 and remained in use until 1984. In this portrait, the Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a delicate and elegant crown that had been a wedding gift to her in 1947. The portrait captures a young and regal image of the Queen, and it is one of the most recognizable effigies in modern British coinage. Around the portrait runs the inscription Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1979, which is Latin for Elizabeth II Grazia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This traditional phrase reflects both her constitutional role as monarch and her position as head of the Church of England. Coins of this period therefore carried not just economic but also cultural and religious symbolism, affirming continuity with centuries of British coinage tradition. The reverse, backside, of the 1979 1 penny coin features the famous portcullis with chains design, created by Christopher Ironside. This portcullis is a stylized version of the Tudor heraldic emblem that has long been associated with the Palace of Westminster, the seat of the UK Parliament. Above the portcullis is a royal crown, emphasizing the authority of the monarchy, while the words 1 penny are placed to the left and right of the design. The numeral 1 is displayed below, making the denomination easy to recognize. This reverse design became one of the most iconic of the decimal era, representing the nation's heritage of governance and law. The portcullis had been used as a symbol of Parliament for centuries and continues to appear on various British emblems and official documents. Its use on the penny ensured that even the smallest coin carried a symbol of national authority and tradition. This design remained unchanged until 2008, when it was replaced by Matthew Dent's heraldic shield design, but for nearly 4 decades it was instantly identifiable to millions of people. In terms of physical details, the 1979 penny was struck in bronze, composed of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. It weighed 3.56 grams, measured 20.3 millimeters in diameter, and had a thickness of 1.52 millimeters. The edge of the coin was plain, with no milling or inscription, which was standard for low-value coins to reduce production costs. When freshly minted, the coin had a bright reddish-brown color, but over time circulated examples darkened to a deep brown or even black due to oxidation and handling. These physical specifications had been consistent since decimalization in 1971 and remained unchanged until 1992, when the Royal Mint switched the 1 penny to a copper-plated steel composition due to rising metal costs. Thus, the 1979 penny belongs to the earlier and more traditional bronze issues, which are now more nostalgic for collectors and the public alike. And circulation, the 1979 penny was heavily used for small purchases such as sweets, newspapers, and public telephone calls. At the time, 1 penny still had modest purchasing power compared to today, even though inflation was beginning to erode its value. Millions of these coins were produced at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, Wales, and they were an essential part of everyday commerce. Because of the high mintage, the 1979 penny is not considered rare in circulated condition, and most examples are worth only their face value today. However, for collectors, coins in uncirculated or proof condition are more desirable. The Royal Mint struck proof versions of the 1979 penny for inclusion in collector sets, and these coins, with their sharp details and mirror-like fields, are worth more than regular circulation strikes. Their value depends on condition and demand, but they generally command a small premium over face value. From a historical and cultural standpoint, the 1979 penny also reflects the reign of Queen Elizabeth II during a pivotal decade in British history. It was a time of political change, with Margaret Thatcher becoming Prime Minister in 1979, ushering in a new era of governance and economic reform. The coin itself, however, remained unchanged, symbolizing continuity amidst social and political upheaval. For many people in Britain, the penny of this era evokes memories of everyday life, of pocket change, sweet shops, and bus fares, making it as much a cultural artifact as a monetary unit. Today, while the penny remains legal tender, its role in everyday commerce has diminished due to inflation and the rise of electronic payments. Many of the older bronze pennies, including those from 1979, have been withdrawn from circulation, but they live on in collections, coin jars, and the memories of those who grew up using them. In conclusion, the 1979 Elizabeth II 1 penny coin is not just a small bronze disc but a symbol of Britain's decimal era, representing both tradition and modernity. Its obverse reflects the youthful image of Queen Elizabeth II during the middle years of her reign, while its reverse connects the coin to centuries of British parliamentary heritage. Although not rare or highly valuable, it remains historically and sentimentally significant, a tangible reminder of late 20th century Britain and the everyday lives of the people who used it. Top 5. The 1 penny coin of Elizabeth II from 1973 is a notable example of early British decimal coinage and an interesting piece in the long history of coins bearing the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. It belongs to the decimal system introduced in 1971, when the United Kingdom officially abandoned the centuries-old currency of pounds, shillings, and pence in favor of a simpler system where 1 pound equals 100 new pence. The penny became the lowest value coin in regular circulation after decimalization, replacing the older, much larger pre-decimal penny. By 1973, the new decimal coins had already become a familiar part of daily life, and the 1 penny coin was among the most widely circulated denominations. The year 1973 is also significant historically because it was the year Britain joined the European Economic Community, EEC, which later became the European Union, marking an important moment of integration into Europe. While the standard penny design was unchanged that year, the coin nonetheless reflects the economic and social context of Britain during the early 1970s. On the obverse, front side, the coin carries the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by the sculptor Arnold Machin. This effigy, which had been introduced in 1968, was used on all British coinage until 1984 and remains one of the most recognizable portraits of the Queen. It shows her wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift she had received in 1947 and one of her most iconic pieces of jewelry. The portrait presents a youthful but regal image of Elizabeth II, appropriate for the early decades of her reign. Around the portrait runs the inscription Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1973, which is the traditional Latin legend for Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This formula connects the coin to a long line of English and British monarchs who have carried the title of Defender of the Faith since Henry VIII in the 16th century. The reverse, backside, of the 1973 penny features the famous portcullis with chains designed by Christopher Ironside, one of the most respected coin designers of the 20th century. The portcullis design has a strong historical connection, as it is a heraldic emblem associated with the Tudor dynasty and is now widely recognized as a symbol of the Palace of Westminster, the seat of the UK Parliament. The portcullis is topped by a royal crown, underlining the authority of the monarchy, while the words 1 penny flank the design. Beneath the portcullis is the large numeral 1, clearly stating the denomination. The choice of the portcullis symbol for the penny ensured that even the smallest coin of the decimal system carried a design rooted in British history and governance. This reverse design remained unchanged from its introduction in 1971 until it was replaced in 2008, making it one of the longest-serving coin designs in modern Britain. In terms of technical specifications, the 1973 one-penny coin was struck in bronze, with a composition of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. It had a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.52 millimeters, and weighed 3.56 grams. Its edge was plain, without milling or inscription, which was standard for low-denomination coins in order to keep minting costs low. When first issued, the coin had a bright reddish-brown appearance, but in circulation it quickly toned to darker shades due to oxidation and constant handling. Millions of pennies were minted in 1973 at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, Wales, and they were widely circulated in daily transactions, used for small purchases such as bus fares, newspapers, sweets, and vending machines. From a collector's perspective, the 1973 penny is not rare, as it was issued in very large numbers for circulation. Circulated examples generally have no more than face value today. However, coins in exceptional uncirculated condition, particularly those found in Royal Mint proof sets or brilliant uncirculated presentation packs, are more desirable. Proof versions of the coin were struck to higher standards, with mirror-like fields and sharp detail, and these attract collectors seeking complete sets of decimal coins. Though they are not extremely valuable, their worth is considerably higher than ordinary circulation strikes. The true value of the 1973 penny often lies more in its historical context than in its market price. Historically, the coin also reflects a period of major transition in Britain. Decimalization was still relatively new in 1973, and people were continuing to adjust to the simpler system of 100 pence to the pound. Moreover, 1973 marked Britain's entry into the European Economic Community, which signaled a greater openness to continental trade and politics. At the same time, the country faced economic challenges such as inflation and industrial unrest, meaning coins like the penny were essential in everyday life, particularly for small transactions. For many people who lived through the 1970s, the penny evokes memories of ordinary daily experiences in shops, schools, and public spaces. In conclusion, the 1973 Elizabeth II one-penny coin is a small but significant piece of Britain's monetary and cultural history. Its obverse reflects the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin, while its reverse connects it to centuries of parliamentary tradition through the portcullis symbol. Technically unremarkable but historically meaningful, it represents both the consolidation of the decimal system and a moment of wider national change. Although it is not rare or highly valuable in monetary terms, it holds strong historical and nostalgic value as part of Britain's journey into the modern era of coinage. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.